The new Republican health care bill has met with a wide range of reactions, from anger and hatred on one side of the aisle to hatred and anger on the other side of the aisle because you're looking at it from a different direction. The two sides have taken their usual approach to swaying public opinion. Republican supporters of the bill have attempted to explain it by pointing at charts and droning incomprehensibly, while Democrat opponents have shown videos of sick children crying, "Please, President Trump, don't kill us. We'll be good." Meanwhile, the amendment process has begun, with House Republicans offering such amendments as "Your ideas suck, I hope you die," and "Change this provision or I'll rip your ears off." A GOP spokesman says he's sure the bill will have enough votes to pass after all the people who oppose it are killed in the melee. But with all the hatred and anger over the bill, does anyone really understand it? Of course not. Americans are busy people and need to get right to the hatred and anger to save time. So today, as a public service, we here at the Andrew Klavan Show would like to provide this quick guide to understanding the new health care bill. Under Obamacare, people who couldn't afford health insurance were given subsidies that were financed by dragging young people from their homes, holding them off the roof by their ankles, and telling them to buy an elaborate insurance plan they didn't need before they fell off the roof and needed the plan. When this provision was challenged in the Supreme Court, Chief Justice John Roberts wrote, quote, "Forcing people to buy insurance is constitutional," or maybe not exactly constitutional, but whatever, leave me alone, unquote. Under the new plan, people will still receive subsidies, but they will be paid for by winding a crank until the boot kicks over a bucket, spilling a metal ball down a flight of stairs, causing a larger ball to fall through a wire, hitting a seesaw, which hurls a diver into an empty basin, jarring a cage that drops down onto a plastic mouse to win the game. The New York Times, a former newspaper, assembled a bipartisan committee to study the effects of the bill. It should be noted that at the Times, a bipartisan committee means a committee of Democrats who have sex with both men and women. The Times committee determined that the bill will break into the homes of minorities and slaughter them in their beds, and that Donald Trump stinks and they hate him so very, very much that every article in the paper should be about how much they hate him, which is very much. The committee further found that having sex with both men and women wasn't actually as much fun as it sounded. As the debate rages on, true conservatives like Ted Cruz and Louis Gohmert are working quietly behind the scenes to amend the bill so that anyone responsible for passing Obamacare in the first place will be forced to receive free government health care until they beg for mercy. That might not solve anything, but the revenge would be sweet. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
All right, that's back to zero on the cracking up during the openings chart. Best-selling Super Troll Michael Knowles has deigned to visit us. It's come down from his round-the-world book tour of his blank book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats, and will be joining us. That will be after the break, so if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you'll have to come over to thedailywire.com. And while you're there, why not subscribe for a lousy $8 a month, and we'll send you a copy. We still sending them the Arroyo? Yeah. You lucky bums. God, we'll send you a copy of Jeremy Boring's The Arroyo. He was in the LA Times. Jeremy and I were both in the LA Times, cursing at Hollywood yesterday to make sure our careers wouldn't go anywhere. We just wanted to make sure. Was there still somebody who's considering any of our projects? This will put a nail in that coffin. Before we start, however, talking today, I want you to do me a favor. Go to the nearest mirror. Look in the mirror. Look at that person looking back at you and ask yourself, do you want that person driving a car? Of course you don't. It's a ton and a half of screaming steel traveling down the highway. You want someone responsible and intelligent driving that car. That covers none of my audience, as I know. So why don't you get a Lyft app, Lyft? All you got to do, press the button. Within an average of about 3.5 minutes, a driver who has been vetted 100 gazillion times will show up. You get non-creeps. They are good people who drive the cars, and you can tip them in the app, so they're happier than at some of the other rideshare plans. So you can get home if you had a couple of drinks. You can stay off the road. If you just don't want to be bothered with the traffic, I mean, we live in LA here, so everybody uses a rideshare, and the Lyft is the great one. So right now, just because we like you, we are offering our listeners a special deal. You get 3 free rides up to $10 each. That's up to a $30 value when you go on the Lyft app and you enter the promo code Klavan. Oh, that's me. It's Klavan, Klavan. Enter the promo code. You will get 3 free Lyft rides. You just download the free Lyft app today and enter the promo code Klavan in the payment section, and you'll start with 3 free rides up to $10 each. That's up to a $30 value. Promo code Klavan, Klavan, Lyft. It is the best way to get home. All right. It was barely a Klavanless weekend. I was in the LA Times. I wrote my pieces down if you were listening last week, as I know you must have been, and heard me talk about Logan. I wrote that down as an article on PJ Media, and the director of the movie got in touch with me and said he really liked the piece, so that was nice. Let's talk briefly, before we get to Super Troll Michael Knowles, let us talk briefly about what is happening in our government. Donald Trump, here's the way I see things, and it's a little different than the way other people see it, but Donald Trump has won the first round against the media, which means the first round against the Democrats, because the media are the Democrats. When you talk about the mainstream media, talk about the networks, the Times, the Washington Post, CNN, you're talking about Democrat news for Democrats, about Democrats, with a Democrat slant. That's what you're talking about. When Trump won, remember that day, everybody was sitting around going, well, here comes Hillary Clinton. Everything that Obama did is going to be nailed down. All his executive orders are going to become laws. Everything is going to be another 4 years of this stuff. And, the First Amendment needs to be rewritten. Second Amendment needs to be crossed out. All this stuff was coming down the pike. Suddenly, bang, gone, right? The Democrats panicked. And when I say the Democrats panicked, I mean ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, the Times and the Post. They panicked. They created this incredible cloud of nonsense, right? This onslaught, a barrage of fake scandals. Oh, and Trump's a Russian spy, and he's this and he's that. It's all not, this has never happened before. It's the worst thing. Remember, not just one, but at least 2 major commentators said this is the worst thing since 9/11. It's the worst thing since Pearl Harbor. Trump has scattered their armies to the wind. 2 major events that really were the turning points. The first was that press conference he gave where he just laid into them. They came in, if you remember, if you go back, the day before that press conference, it was Michael Flynn resigns, Trump's a Russian spy, the Russians have taken over the government. The day before. Day after that press conference is, he yelled at us and now we're unhappy and it's a First Amendment. It was like a complete turnaround. And, right after that, came shortly after that came the speech to the joint session of Congress, the kind of faux State of the Union address. Once again, they were building up that Russian spy thing. And if you never talk to the Democrats, you don't know this. If you were just reading about this, you're thinking this is the stupidest story ever. It doesn't make any sense. There's no proof. The James Clapper investigated. James Clapper's a partisan. He was the director of intelligence under Obama. He investigated. He said there's no evidence of this whatsoever. No evidence of collusion with the Trump campaign. That was on January 20th when he stepped down. He said that there's no evidence of collusion. Still, they're running with this. They're into the Associated Press, so help me, this is true. The Associated Press was interviewing spy novelists. Does this sound real to you? Yes, I make up fake stories for a living, and it sounds exactly like one of my stories. So now all they're left with are these fake scandals. They've got this thing where Jeff Sessions, as all the presidents do now, they asked everybody, all the prosecutors in the Justice Department to resign. One of them, Preet Bharara from Manhattan, he actually refused, which you do not do. You serve at the pleasure of the president. When the president is finished with you, you are gone. He refused. He had to be fired. Oh, what a scandal. What a scandal. Immediately, social media just dispels this by showing, they showed when Obama did it, it was he replaces attorneys. When Trump did it, it was he ousts them. Remember, they made such a big fuss when W. Bush, I think, fired 7, 8 of them, something like that. They were guys that he appointed. This is a typical thing where they get rid of the other guys, people, and they bring in their own people to prosecute things they want to. There's now a fake scandal about Steve King made some tweet about how we can't increase our population using other people's babies, and now he's a racist and all this stuff. All of this is being destroyed. And you know what Brian Stelter, the great Trump hysteric, is talking about now? He's talking about the fact that Trump is ignoring the press. And if you watch, this is true. Two things have happened recently. Trump is no longer listening to shouted questions from the press, one, and the other is he's not tweeting. He's not sending out those 6 a.m. tweets. And you can think to yourself, well, somebody's got his phone, somebody's told him he's got to rein it in. I don't think that's it. I think he knows he's won this round. They'll come back. The Democrats are like a guy with herpes. First they screw you and then you can't get rid of the results. That's like, so the Democrats are not done. They're not done. They will be back. But Brian Stelter is now complaining about this, and he's got on Baltimore Sun media critic David Zarowik. And Zarowik points out that Trump has done nothing to these guys, and why would he talk to them? Why would he talk to them? Listen to this.
If I was him right now and I looked at this, I'd say, hey, look, every time we engage the press, we are attacked. We're shredded. Let's let the press go on its own for a while and see how they like it. Why engage at that level if we're going to get pounded? I mean, that's a reasonable thing for him to say. And this thing, Brian, when we say, oh, he's the worst war on the press ever, I wrote about that last week. It's not the worst war on the press. He hasn't even done what Obama's done. It might be that, but not yet. So
you're talking about actions, not words. We've not had a living president call the media the enemy of the American people before.
Well, actions are what matter, isn't it, in this world? When somebody names a reporter an aider and abettor and a co-conspirator, as President Obama did in getting a subpoena on James Rosen, that's a lot worse. Or when they threatened James Risen from the New York Times for 6 years with jail, that's a lot worse than calling him an enemy of the people. And look, it is bad. It's awful. I wouldn't defend that, and I wouldn't defend anything Trump does. But words are not actions like that, Brian.
See, there's a guy, he's not a Trump supporter, but everybody gets it now. Everybody gets it. And the thing is, we beat them on social media, and Trump beat them. Trump beat them by just going at them and just telling the truth, just saying it's fake news. And it's not fake news because every story is untrue. It's fake news because every story is slanted toward the Democrats. All right, so Trump is really riding high right now in terms of the narrative. And the other thing is, before I get to that, the Democrats are in disarray. Roger Altman, a guy who's worked in, I think, 9 Democrat presidential campaigns, something like that. He writes today that the Democrats are completely scattered and are completely deluded. In the Wall Street Journal, he writes, President Trump's chaotic beginning has many Democrats envisioning a big comeback. They see the marches and protests and presidential tweets and expect newly energized Americans to vote blue in droves. But these hopes mask the decrepit state of the Democratic Party at all levels of government. A true Democratic comeback will be impossible without top-to-bottom changes. The GOP is in one of its strongest positions since its founding in 1854. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency, but much of governing in America is done at the state and local levels where education, infrastructure, voting, and gun rights are primarily determined. There, the GOP is even more dominant. Republicans have 33 governorships and more than 2/3 of state legislative chambers. That the Democrats have allowed this domination borders on gross negligence. It borders on Obamaism. It is Obama. Obama has destroyed this party, and Trump is riding high. And now we're all talking about the health care bill, which is the big news, the arguments over the health care bill. This is also a victory for Trump, and here's the reason it's a victory for Trump. What we're talking about now is normal. Remember, all the press kept saying, all the media and the Democrats kept saying is, don't normalize Donald Trump. He be normalized. That fight is over. Trump won. All the stuff we're talking about, the arguments, the back and forth, the conservative wing doesn't like it, the Democrats don't like it, they're arguing we won't pass it, we will pass it. Trump is now threatening to primary people if they don't support it. All of this stuff is the way that laws get made in the country. It is governing. And so now Trump is governing, and the press is still debating whether he's being nice to them or not. That's what the press is reporting on. He's so mean to us, So this is important stuff. Bill Clinton, a perfect exchange went on between Bill Clinton and Nigel Farage on the air that kind of showed where this thing is going. But I can't get to it until I say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. Come over to thedailywire.com. We will be interviewing. I don't know how we managed to get him, but we have booked Michael Knowles on this program, and he'll be here in just a little while.